Vi måste ingen, gamle vän. Soy en Polo Grande de Carral.
Hey, you guys remember? No rapid fire on the range.
Shut the fuck up.
Get fucked, old man.
I'm just saying, nobody needs weapons of war.
Don't you have a shotgun you're supposed to be pointing at somebody in the parking lot, you old fud?
Tax stamp this.
Competition versus tactical. Which one is better? Like 9mm versus 45. This is one of those gun arguments that just refuses to die. So let's go over some of the pros and cons of each, wade through some of the BS, and see if it can't help you decide the best path. Competition shooting, in the context of this argument, is going to be like IPSC or USPSA, IDPA, 3-gun, that type of thing. This argument is never really about sporting clays or biathlon. Tactical shooting is actually a little bit harder to define because tactical has to be one of the most overused words in the gun world. It's become such a broad term that it almost loses its actual technical meaning. Everything from a tactical rifle pistol class to medical to long range to comms to recon or patrol or holster or guns or even clothing or a million other things can have the word tactical attached to it. This is where the argument gets dumb and we've just barely started. Tactical is this huge umbrella that covers so many different things, and people compare it to one pretty specific thing and try and decide which one is better. Tactical training pros and cons. Detractors will say that tactical shooting is an excuse for being slow. You spend so much time on so many things that you never really get good at shooting. That marksmanship or performance is often secondary to tactics or even gear. Or that you spend all your time training in multicam kit from head to gooch, even though you likely would never have all that kit on during a gunfight, all while spouting things like train like you fight. And to be honest, some of these things hit a little too close to home and hurt my own feelings writing this. But there are a lot of good things for the average gun owner and concealed carrier to learn from this realm. Knowing how to shoot is important, but so is knowing when to shoot. Let's take a typical tactical rifle pistol class as an example. You'll likely learn the basics of firearms manipulations like loading, unloading, reloading, how to aim, maybe some movement, maybe some different shooting positions, maybe some basic team movement and verbal communications, and hopefully a little bit of safety rules and maybe even a medical component such as how and when to apply tourniquet. You probably go over zeroing your weapons and some basics of marksmanship, the difference between cover and concealment and the use thereof, when to reload and when to transition to your pistol. And there'll likely be some discussion on gear setup as well. This is all good stuff to learn. Beyond that, there's low light or no light training, use of radio comms, force and force, night vision, working around vehicles. The list is kind of endless. If, like us, you ascribe to the Minuteman concept, this is all good stuff to learn. If you're going to have kit, it's good to know how to use it and how it all works together. However, much of it is not that much different than what you would actually learn from competition. It's just a little slower. And what is different either might not be that useful to us as individuals, or it's not mutually exclusive. Much of these other things like comms, medical, defensive firearms tactics, etc. are not exclusive to people who wear 511 clothing from head to toe and use the NATO phonetic alphabet in their everyday life. Detractors of competition will say that it's just gun golf. It's an unrealistic game that promotes shooting fast over target discrimination or precision, and could build bad habits, such as just seeing a brown target, shooting 2 rounds at it, moving on. It has specialized equipment built for speed that is impractical for real combat situations or real life. However, that is a gross oversimplification of what you generally see in matches. Competition, otherwise referred to as practical shooting, is basically just applying marksmanship at speed. Let's use USPSA as an example. Each hit on the target will give you a certain amount of points, and your total time is also recorded. You minus any penalties from the total points, divide the points by the time, and get a number called a hit factor. The higher the number, the better. This might seem complex at first, but it's just a way of getting a measurable number as an average across all the targets on the stage. Think of it as points per second. This forces you to balance speed with precision, because they're both important. Speed without accuracy is useless, and accuracy without speed is useless. It also forces you to be pretty well balanced across a wide range of shooting positions, target distances, and difficulties in order to do well. Your draw, reloads, movement, malfunctions, clearance, vision, grip, trigger control, sight alignment, recoil management, target transition, stretch management are all tested over the course of one stage, and then over the course of the whole match. You'll see a wide variety of different scenarios and target arrays that are typically a bit more complex than what you see in tactical shooting, just because there's more people there and they have more props typically on hand. There also tends to be a lot less theoretical bullshit that is based on whatever your favorite instructors tell you that they learned some far off land 20 years ago, or some sort of like lowest common denominator stupidity. Yeah. In competition, different strategies, tactics, and methods are tested, and the results are apparent pretty much immediately. By inspecting the target and the timer, you see right away what is effective and what isn't. Competing will also show you right away how you stack up to everyone else. Now, this might hurt your ego to get your doors blown off by some chubby guy in New Balances, or some kid that hasn't even learned to shave yet. But don't be a little bitch about it. Just learn from it. Work on what you're deficient in, and improve yourself. More importantly than the matches themselves is the style of training, which is focused on measurable performance. And it's a relatively inexpensive way of putting your skills to the test with a group of like-minded individuals. Now, tactical Timmies think that competition is an unrealistic game that teaches you bad habits and doesn't prepare you for real combat. Competition nerds think that tactical guys are shitty at shooting and use being tactical as a justification for their stagnant skills. And they're both right to an extent. However, the tactical guy's argument doesn't pass the smell test here. Somehow, if you're a tactical guy, you can learn all these things under the tactical umbrella. But competition guys can only learn how to shoot fast and literally nothing else. The only way this can be true is if you're an imbecile. Are you an imbecile? No, I didn't think so. Imagine saying that learning to drive a race car impacts your ability to drive in traffic. Practical shooting is a really useful tool to improve your skills, and the guys that spend a lot of time doing competitive shooting are a great resource for helping us improve our shooting skills. However, as a responsible concealed carrier or gun owner, shooting isn't the only thing. It's not just about how to shoot, it's also about when to shoot. Which one will make you a better shooter? Neither. Both. Take your pick. It really depends on how much time you spend training. If you shoot once a month or less, and that's the extent of your practice, you're going to be a shitty shooter for a long time. If you hit the range weekly and you have dry fire practice during the week, you're going to progress quickly. So if you're a new shooter or someone that's fairly low commitment, then it's probably not going to matter a whole lot. Any little bit of effort that you do will make some improvement, but it'll be a slow process. So stick with whatever interests you and whatever keeps you getting to the range. If you're on the other end of the spectrum, not that one, and you want to be putting in a lot of work to become a great shooter, most people that pick the tactical style of shooting, you're going to eventually hit some sort of a plateau, unless you start putting some focus on the performance aspect of your shooting. What I'm trying to make here is, it all depends on how much effort you put in. You could be a tactical shooter for years or a competition shooter for years and still suck if all you're ever doing is going through the motions of the match or going through the motions of all the different drills and training you do, and you're never actually paying attention to the performance that you're actually getting and the process behind that. You're always going to be stuck at a certain level, which isn't going to be that good. If you can embrace the process behind the better competition shooters and learn how to focus on what you're doing and the inputs that you're putting on the gun and how that's affecting your results on target, and use that to change things and test things and improve, you'll improve significantly more. If all you ever want to do is tactical drills, you'll get good at those drills. You'll never get good at shooting. If you do get good at shooting, it's kind of like accidentally, but you'll still hit a plateau point. Whereas if you can learn to just cut a lot of the tactical bullshit out while you're at the range and just focus on your shooting, you can make some pretty good improvements. What it comes down to is shooting. The fundamentals are the same. Your grip, vision, trigger control, sight alignment, all those things work just the same. So spend some time working on those fundamentals and perfecting them as much as you can so that they become hard skills that are just running as background processes. And when you need them, you don't have to think about them. You ever see that one Bigfoot video of like, it's just like a Bigfoot's face standing in the trees? You see it, it's like, looks like a dummy. Then it like blinks. Looks like super fake. That's how I feel right now. Like I have a fake face. Can't even see me. Except for my big powerful lips. And unless you're going to the Circle K at 11:30 at night dressed like this. Baby, don't need to train like this all the time.